So just tested your chat as well.
Yes, we're here.
We're live. Hello and welcome.
Welcome today. We have a special guest, career coach Amechi. And we're going to delve into the gratitude topic again and see how it relates to career and anything else that you might want to share with us about the subject.
So to start, would you mind introducing yourself and talking about what you would like people to know about yourself rather than us saying things that don't do you justice?
Oh, well, first and foremost, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Saskia, for inviting me to be a guest on the Biscaries Gratitude Talks. You asked just before we got started, how do you pronounce my name, and how you want to make sure you get it right. You're not the first, and I will tell you, and also I'll talk about how it links into gratitude. What I'd like to share during our conversation is also the concept of gratitude in relation to people making a career change in a job search, and the part that gratitude can often play in reshaping and re-energizing that process. But back to my name. My name is Amechi. So if we've got any listeners who are from Nigeria, they will almost immediately have said, "Oh, yes, your name is not just Nigerian; it's Igbo, so it's from the eastern part of Nigeria." And some of those people may also know that my name would then mean God only knows what tomorrow may bring. Now, I'm not a particularly religious or spiritual individual. The reason I was given the name, though, is in part because it's a family member, but also because it reflected my entry into life. I entered life about the same weight as a bag of sugar. I was about 2 months premature. Doctors, and did all that they could. Parents did all that they could. Naturally, you've got to name your child, and in the circumstances, my name was very prophetic, as in circumstances they put their trust in whatever was available at the time beyond medicine, and so I came into the world.
Wow.
And so I guess literally from birth there has been an element of gratitude and awareness of just actually being present. And I think as you go through life, you come across the statistic. I can't remember what the odds are of any of us as human beings actually being human beings. But the odds are very high in terms of us actually being born and being present. So in some respects, like, well, okay, yeah. when we're looking at stuff, kind of go, wow, the odds against any one of us being born are very high. So just to be alive is amazing. And equally, some people say, oh, you're a long time dead. But when scientists say to you, well, by the way, this is how long the universe has been around, it makes your life a very tiny, 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 tiny sliver in the whole world of existence. So you kind of go, well, might be having a bit of a tough day, tough week, tough month, tough year, tough 5 years, tough decade. But
Yeah.
it is an infinitely small amount of time in the overall sense of the universe, cosmos, call it what you will. So when we talk about gratitude, sometimes it's just, at least for me as an individual, it's always framed within that much, much, much bigger container that goes, okay, this is this teeny tiny little moment I've got to do what I do, be who I am, make the mark that I make, live the life that I live, influence who I influence, impact who I impact. So, it really brings things into sharp focus. Now, I'm not here to sort of go, "Oh my goodness, everybody! Oh, this is really heavy. Leave it out. It's lunchtime. I just came for a biscuit and a cup of coffee. Saskia,
What's all this wisdom?
this guy's giving us cosmic stuff." No,
Yeah.
that's not where I'm coming from. It's just accumulation of life experience, and I'm sure each and every one of us has bumped into similar kinds of insights and learnings through their own lives.
Mm.
I'd
Um,
be I'd be really interested to hear about how that story of how you entered life was shared with you, because you probably won't remember those really difficult first months and
I
years
was
and
busy
the
being
delays
born.
you might have had. Exactly, busy surviving, I'm sure. But your family must have communicated that with you to fill you with that sense of gratitude, because you would be oblivious to it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I was in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
um, I mean, I think. Well, no, I know that I was told my birth story relatively early, so I was always aware of that. Um, I was told what my name meant, and having been born in the UK, unlike my siblings who were almost all born in Nigeria, um, it had greater resonance for me, for a sense of place, sense of identity, sense of belonging, um, in a world that's not like the one that my family come from. So that's been a very important part for who I am, and where I am in the world, and what I stand for.
And was the outcome of the fact that you were born in the UK 2 months premature, would have looked a lot different had you been born in Nigeria like your siblings were, do you think?
Yes, but I almost certainly wouldn't have been. Well, I can't guarantee, because who knows what life might throw up. But I may well have not been born prematurely. So who knows?
Also, yeah.
The
Yeah,
fact of the
yeah,
matter is, that's what happened.
yeah,
Meanwhile, what am I going to do now? That's-
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah,
that was the focus piece. Not that I was sitting there as a toddler going, right, I've made my intentions clear. After I've
yeah.
crawled across the floor, I shall work out my life purpose.
So I researched a tiny little bit about you because I didn't want to go into the conversation completely blind, and I noticed that you were made redundant at some point in your career, and I was made redundant in
Oh,
2020.
sorry, correction.
Um,
Correction. I
my
wasn't
role
made
was
redundant.
my
Thank you.
role was made redundant. Yes, yes,
A
that's
rather
very valid.
important shift.
Yes, yes. Our roles were made redundant. And I know that I've managed to find a severe amount of gratitude in that, even though in the moment it's harsh. How was that reality for you at the time?
That's what that reality was like. In that instance, went into work. Certainly, the first time I experienced it, went into work. It was a New Year's Day. I was working executive search. I was set for the new year to start my day. I arrived not late, but on time. But the office was unusually quiet. People weren't looking at me. We're only a small office, and the boss came. Oh, actually, Amechi, I need to talk to you. And although I didn't look round to see if there are eyeballs following me, it felt like the eyeballs were following me as I went out to have the conversation. 15 minutes later, I was out of the office with my box of stuff, or bag of stuff, thinking, well, what do I do now? I've got no job, I've got no home, and no family of my own, as in children, partner. Actually, I've got no job, no house to pay a mortgage on or anything like that, and no family, children, partner of my own. In other words, no commitments. I actually am in a position where, for the first time in my adult life, I can be selfish. I can focus solely on me. I can determine where I go and what I do. Within 2 weeks, I was back working and I was earning more money than I'd ever earned in my life to that point. I was able to go and see one of my brothers who lives in New York. He'd been out there for years and I'd never been. I literally took a weekend trip for a significant birthday. I left London rush hour on a Friday. I arrived at rush hour in New York on a Friday. We celebrated his and his daughter's birthdays because their birthdays are on the same day on the Saturday. And then he woke me up and said, "Hey, you need to get to the airport." "Oh, you've overslept," on the Sunday. And I was back in work on the Monday. And somebody said, "Hey, what are you doing? What did you do for the weekend?" I'm not the sort of person who wants to go, "Oh yeah, I went to," but I did say, "Yeah, I was lucky enough to go and see my brother in New York." "Oh wow, you don't look tired." I remember meeting my old boss from the company that I experienced the redundancy, and he asked me, "Oh, Amechi, what are you doing now? What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm working part time. I'm building up a coaching business. Um, I get paid weekly. It's it works for me." And he took a kind of paternalistic. He had taken a paternalistic approach to me prior to me leaving the firm, and just said, "Look, you're nearly 30, and you really need to think about what you're going to do next in your life." Prophetic words. So like I say, when I met him again and I told him what I was doing, he was like, "Oh," he was concerned. And I said, "What's to be concerned about? I get paid weekly, so I've just been away. I've already paid for it. It's done. It's not a debt. It's not an overdraft. I'm doing work that I want to do. Oh, so it's enjoyable. It's okay." And it's also the building and giving me the pathway to go and do the work I think I'm really going to enjoy doing longer term. Where's the problem? I almost felt like reaching over and taking the weight he'd put on his back on my behalf and saying, "Hey, put that down. You don't need it. I'm all right. I love the fact that you're worried about my well-being, and I appreciate that. But it's a load you don't have to carry." So I was extremely grateful for the learnings that came from that experience. I wouldn't say, "Oh yes, great, take me back. Love to have that exact experience." But the learnings from it, oh yes, very much grateful for those. And in working with people, as they make their own changes, I do offer them the opportunity to take a step back. It's very easy to be so zoomed in on the work. That's, in Britain in particular, you ask somebody, "What do you do?" And the reply is, "I am a." No, I ask, "What do you do?" Not, "Who are you?" But we're so used to defining ourselves by what we do that sometimes when I'm working with clients, I encourage them, like I said, to take that step back and look at, first and foremost, who are you in the different facets of your life. I don't know if either of you are familiar with the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers.
I think I've heard about it.
Within the book, she has a grid. The first grid is a big box. And she asks you to draw the box on a piece of paper and then write work. Now draw a second big box and take work out. What do you got? An empty life. She then says, take that first box and subdivide it into 3 columns and 3 rows. So you now have 9 boxes. In the first box, write work. In the second box, write family. In the third box, write relationships. In the fourth box, write health. In the fifth box, write finances. In the sixth box, write hobbies. in the 7th box, write holidays, in the 8th box, write spirituality, in the 9th box, creativity, whatever. To now take work out.
Mm.
You
So
still
much
have a
left.
full life to
Mm.
be grateful for, to engage with, to be part of, to draw energy from, and at times to give energy to.
Mm.
By the way, the labels I chose, you can change those and put whatever other things, and you don't have to fill every single box. But it puts that work thing in perspective.
Mm.
Says, hey, you know what? It's important. I need it, but there's me as a partner, there's me as a brother, as a sister, as an aunt, as an uncle. There's other roles I play that help to define and make me who I am. And if
Mm.
necessary, give me a degree of validation for who I am at a time when I feel I may be invalid because of the
Mm.
set of circumstances in my work life.
Mm.
It's a very holistic view from a career coach. Would have thought that you are all about work, but it sounds like you really get people to think what else there is and how their career can contribute to the life that they want to live.
Well, it's kind of like, I don't know about you, but I've never ever gone into a workplace and there's a little basket that says, please deposit at non-works life here. It's not like when you go to the airport and you go through the security section. They say, "Oh, right, if you've got too many liquids, pop those in that basket. If you've got food that you can't take abroad, pop that in there." That doesn't happen at work. We try and kid ourselves and say, "Oh, yes, I never bring personal stuff into the office." All right. So why are you happy today?
Mm.
Why are you why are you smiling? Did you have a good weekend? Yeah, I did. Oh, well, no, I'm sorry, we can't talk about that because that's bringing stuff that's not at work in here.
Mm.
Really? Let's get sensible about this stuff.
So
You bring
2 weeks, you said it took you 2 weeks to turn your life around, basically. That
Yep.
sounds an incredibly short amount of time. How did you manage that? Do you think you were a step ahead in a way that while you were still employed, you were always quite sure about what was important to you and all these things that we sometimes might ignore when we're in the hamster wheel? Or how did you do it?
Oh, it all sounds very nice this side. You're like, oh, wow, amazing. What was the skill? What was the technique? I'll be truthful. It happened by accident. I'd worked in recruitment for 2.5 years. I was renting somewhere. I was able to return and live with family for a period of time, which was helpful, really helpful. Very grateful for that. Um, I have to say, I'm a bit snobby about how I was going to get my next job. Was I go back to a career that I'd stepped away from? I felt no, that's not me. I was a bit blinkered because I thought, oh, if I step back to that, that's failing. That's giving up before you even started. Oh, you'll be trapped doing it forever. Lots of rubbish,
Chatting.
unhelpful self-talk. you know. Meanwhile, life was carrying on. I got an email. No, I didn't even. It wasn't an email. I got a phone call saying, "Hey, we set you up with an interview. We've got your CV." I said, "What do you mean you've got my CV? I didn't even send it to you." Yeah. Like I said, I was still on my high horse and not really hearing.
Mm.
And they said, "Oh, no, we've got an interview for you." Oh, hold on. I haven't even applied for this. I'm looking for a job, and it's available. Oh, maybe I'll just turn up then. You know, maybe I'll park my. Oh, well, I wouldn't do it like that. That's not the way proper recruitment should be done. Like, hold on. You know, here is opportunity, not just staring you in the face. It's like jabbing you in the chest and dragging you by
Mm.
the hand. Say, would you like it? So I went along. I did the interview. I got the role. It was a contract role, and it really upskilled me in a lot of ways of HR. It gave me a range of exposure that I hadn't had before. It also then gave me confidence. That contract was for 6 months. In month 5, I realised, oh, I'm not going to stay here. I do need to reach out and talk to some more people. I reached out to somebody who I'd known in the recruitment world previously. They'd moved firm, and they said, "Hey, we've got a job. It's paying £30,000, and they want you to do this, this, and this." And the things that they wanted me to do, I thought, for the money you're paying against what you need doing, I can't understand it. To me, you seem to be overpaying. Am I hearing you right? The person stopped me and just walked me through the explanation of the role again to make sure I could actually hear. Because again, I was doing all my own noise, all my own self-talk that was getting in the way. And, oh yeah. Oh well, I better go then. Off I went. And I, again, got that opportunity, got that role. Those 2 roles were great, not just in the jobs themselves, but also because what they exposed me to. The first role, one day a woman rang me up. I was an interim HR manager. She said, "I've just been offered a promotion. I don't want it. I want you to talk to me about what I do with the rest of my life. I'm nearly 60. At the time, I was nearly 30. What do I know about life? Who am I to be guiding someone of this level of experience?" So I did what sensible people do. I shut one mouth and I opened 2 ears. I listened. I asked some questions. I listened some more, reflected back. At the end of our face-to-face meeting, 2 happy people were in that room. The lady, because she had some real clarity about what she could do next. She gave herself permission to go and do that. Just as a side note, for anybody who's listening right now and watching right now, who's wondering whether they can give themselves permission to do something, great tip from a lovely writer, speaker, trainer, and coach, David Taylor, author of the Naked Leader book. He says, check your permission switch is switched to on. Do not wait for friend, family, significant other to give you that permission to do something. Switch it to on. Okay? Every so often in life, it flips back down. So you just need to flip it back into the on position. So like I said, we had the happy woman there. Yeah, I know what I can go off and do. And there's me also really happy. I didn't know what that work was called at that time. One day I was going to the shops. It was Saturday. I have to admit, used to read the Daily Mail. But that was sold out. But the Times was available in the days when the Times was broadsheets. So you do the whole chest workout. I'm like, this is Saturday. I don't need to be doing the chest expander. It's really heavy. So I dragged it home. I dropped it. I shook it. Out plopped the magazine because I couldn't face reading the whole paper at the time. Just wanted some nice pictures and short stories. So out pops the magazine. I pick the magazine up. There's nothing of interest. Penultimate page of the magazine. There is a column called Dear Coach. Each week we feature a coach and the person they're working with and have given insight into what it's like in that coaching relationship. Bing! I now know what this thing is called. It's called coaching. Woo! So I got a real insight and awareness and understanding and a very practical piece to just go, wow, this is fantastic. I can share this with family and say, this is what I do. And it's already got credibility. Look, it's in the Times. So it must be all right. Second reason why I was that second thing was the job. The second role that I took as an interim really highlighted whether I should pursue something I was really genuinely drawn to and felt I was good at, or I should stick with applying for the job. The first time round the interim role, I listened to lots of people who said, "Oh, you'd be really good at it, go for it." But my heart wasn't in it. I applied, but I didn't want it. And surprise, I didn't get the job. Second time round doing the second interim job, people said, "Oh, you know what, Amechi, you'd be really good at it. You should apply." I listened to my heart. I listened to my head as well. And they combined together and both said, "No, you've been around here already. This is a lesson you've learned." I declined the role and instead pursued what I wanted to pursue. Whilst I was there, somebody had said, "Oh, I've been trying for ages to get a new role." I said, "All right, well, if you want a bit of informal coaching, I can help you." Not that I was pushing them out of the organisation, just they were digging their own tunnel anyway. They were going to go. We did some coaching, and then they got to a certain point. And they said, "Actually, Amechi, I don't need you to coach me anymore. I'm good. I'm done." I'd got in my mind that I was going to be coaching them right up until they got their new job and they needed some support to be onboarded and everything else. No, they needed coaching enough to have the confidence to go for what they want. And that was a really powerful learning for me, and something I'm particularly grateful for the coach, for that person because subsequently everybody that I've coached, I've always been mindful and aware that they only need to be coached enough. Usually to have enough confidence, clarity to go for what they want. After that, if they want more, yeah, it's great. But the truth is often, when I've got enough, sometimes I'll know what enough is. Oh, I need more confidence. Okay, do you need confidence brushing your teeth? No, that's silly. Okay. How much more confidence? Where do you need it? Oh, I need it in interviews. What type of interviews? First, second, finals? Oh, first interviews. And what is it in that first interview that you're not comfortable with? Have you spoken before? Oh, yeah. Listened? Yes. Asked insightful questions? Oh, yeah, I've done that as well. So where exactly do you need more confidence? Because actually, all these things are things that you know how to do. Just helping them break it down into smaller component parts of things that they're comfortable with, that they're familiar with, they're capable of doing, and then working out, well, what's the missing factor? Oh, well, I've never been successful. Well, hold on. I looked at your CV and there's all these jobs. How'd you get those? Well, I was interviewed. Okay, so could we stop the story of you? I've never been successful. Yeah, I suppose. So I am very grateful for those insights from, like I say, from that one of those first clients. Back to you. I'm mindful of time. 2 minutes.
Oh wow! I know that really does zoom by. No, that's very, very interesting. And on that note, I think it would be good for people to know where they can find you online, on socials.
Yeah, sure. If you want to reach out to me, the easiest way is to drop me an email. My first name is Amechi at yourcareermatters.co.uk. You can reach me at the website yourcareermatters.co.uk. You can find me on LinkedIn. If you put my name in, you will see I'm probably one of the first ones to pop up. So you'll find me that way. If you want to find me on Twitter, which I do frequent still, it's at yourcareermttrs. So that's at yourcareermttrs. Otherwise, just keep looking for me. Search me out. You will find me. Indeed.
Amazing. And we usually ask this final question because every Tuesday, as you might know, we celebrate something called Gratitude Day, where we at the Biscuitery send out a free thank you biscuit on behalf of anybody, around the world really, but they're going to have to send it to a UK address. So if you could tell us who you are grateful for, in the UK, outside of the UK, someone who's you're just grateful for whatever it is that they've done for you in life, who would that be?
Oh, the list is getting longer as I've been thinking about it. The person I'll pick is Jeremy Lazarus. Jeremy was my first coach and mentor, and he saw me through those trainer wheel stages of starting out in coaching, and many years later is still somebody I'm in contact with, and I am forever grateful for his support and his appreciation. And literally, when I saw certain things that were written about him at the time, I went, he's doing it, I'm not. I need him as my coach. And it turned out he lived no more than 15 minutes away from me where I lived when I was living in London at the time. So very grateful to Jeremy.
Amazing.
Great. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing a small part of your story with us. We would love to send Jeremy a biscuit on your behalf if you can share details with us after this. And for anybody else who hasn't heard about our Gratitudes Days, every Tuesday we have a limited amount of free thank you biscuits that we send on your behalf to a person of your choice. It might be a friend, a colleague, a family member. You can add a personalized gift note and it's totally free of charge. Sometimes people think they have to pay for postage, but it's completely free. So that is live from tomorrow at 10 a.m. every Tuesday. And we thank you, Amechi, for your time, and we look forward to seeing what you're up to.
Well, thank you both, and belated happy birthday to the Biscuit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you both.